Hi guys, this is an S&P 500 technical analysis update for the 1st of September 2020. Hope everyone's doing great. Let's go into it. Now, I'm very proud to announce 10 years in the making, Financial Freedom Masterclass is finally here. There's a quick trailer video for it. The link is in the description below, plus a 5% discount code. Obviously, I'm not just going to give away the information. So if you've ever wondered how I work out my targets, there's 48 brand new modules here. So anyone who's attended previous webinars I may have done Shopify store in the last couple of years, obviously these are now brand new modules, and I've added in futures as well as options. Okay, with the advent of micro futures, everyone should be on a level where they can easily trade and understand options. But there's a lot of probabilities and mathematics. There's a lot of strategies that you need to know with options. We cover delta hedging, we cover earnings. I mean, there's so much here to mention. We cover all of the major strategies, understanding what the Greeks actually mean and the probabilities, volume, open interest, as I said, delta hedging, working out expected moves, and then using option pricing formulas to actually devise a strategy. Futures, much more complicated than just buying the Nasdaq futures or buying the ES futures. There's a lot to know about the different sessions, what type of day type it is, inventory positioning, and advanced volume profile techniques, which certainly I've never shared on YouTube before or on Facebook. It required a masterclass to explain everything. There's sentiment analysis, correlated markets, trading in volatility, advanced strategies that I use, journaling spreadsheet, finding stocks for swing plays, and the usual Wyckoff, risk and money management, trailing up your stops, volatility stops, adding to own positions, and then the special candlestick patterns that we need to know of and we need to trade. So basically a lot of time and effort has been put into this over the last 6 months or so. There's a video on how to data mine from Excel. There's a resources and statistics section, and just the glossary is near 5,000 words. So it's the complete masterclass basically to independently analyze, trade, and invest the market. So, and that's what you need to do. You need to be knowing all three: how to analyze the market, trade, and invest in the market. So here with Apple going to 420, there's obviously a strategy which I use to forecast that move well ahead of time. I mean, now it's stock split, isn't it? I mean, there's just so many calls that I've made over the last couple of years. So we were calling for Apple 420 when it was here. So these are the kind of strategies to get you into trades well ahead of time. And that's basically what it's all about. On top of that, we're going to go over price action execution, how to enter trades, Fibonacci entry, blind orders. Very, very important. Okay, half of what I do is blind most of the time. Volume analysis, and like I said, more advanced volume profile methods, which I've not discussed here before. So I think it's the complete toolkit, really. Regardless of whether Nasdaq's going to go up, down, or sideways, or dump in the next few weeks, we'll have a look at that in a minute. You need to be on a level where you are far ahead of retail. So basically, when you sign up here, you just sign up to the school. To actually sign up to the course itself, you press this button, and at the bottom you'll see the price. I think it's fairly priced for what you're getting. There's a heavy discount going on right at the moment. It's been in beta testing for the last 48 hours. Already feedback has been very good. Quite a number of people have already signed up. There will eventually be a Slack group, as well as any new module which I release that'll get released free of charge. Okay, because obviously the stock market's constantly changing, so new strategies, new techniques may come to the fore, and that will get released in an extras module right at the bottom here, free of charge. So not only are you getting everything here, 10 years worth of knowledge streamlined, as well as all of my own strategies, be it for day trading, swing trading, long-term investing, because once again, you need to know all three. In this kind of market, it's no good, holding Apple. Well, let's just imagine if a long-term investor held SPY. They've basically broke even over the last 2 years, give or take, okay? And obviously, within this, in the Facebook group, we've called some very, very nice moves, okay? Facebook, 10,000 percent collapse. Q's move here, then back up again here, got rid of their position, then got back in. So you need to be taking advantage, because clearly, since Bitcoin 20K, the volatility is so much out there, just maintaining long-term investment portfolio isn't really going to cut it, okay? Long-term leap options got absolutely hammered throughout this time. Likewise, just day trading on the 1 minute chart, not really going to get you anywhere. So really, it's probably best for people who don't just trade crypto and invest in crypto. They're more willing to step up to these big markets especially Nasdaq, American stock markets. They'll find the most amount of use from this. Like I said, later on, the futures and the options will be sold separately, because really they should be doing, just at time of doing video, given that it's just been released for 48 hours, I'm going to put everything into one. So really, it's the complete playbook. And there's a little blurb of what we're going to go into. So it's essentially 6 main sections. Given that each video is more than 1 hour long, it should really take, the average investor trader here, regardless of how experienced they think they are, if you've been learning the wrong stuff your entire life, you're not really experienced. Your experience starts from now. But even then, it should take you about a month to complete. But everything is in here, and I think it's great. And there you go. No need to sell it more. I think it pretty much sells itself, as people who have been following me for a while understand. Okay, so use the discount code if you want to. Now, let's go on to the Nasdaq. So we have the SPY here on this screen. I'm just going to pull in the Nasdaq, the situation here. So for a long time now, we have been calling a parabolic melt up. Okay, the weakening of the dollar has certainly helped bids in Bitcoin, gold and silver. Okay, that's got nothing to do with each of those currencies, that they're all in major, probably corrective patterns, all of them. It just happens to be the case that Nasdaq has dragged everything with it, and this is a melt up, which we identified where the blue arrow is literally 6 months ago. Okay, as long as we're getting strong fiscal support from stimulus check X, Y, and Z, and the central bank, in this case the Fed, is willing to pump up this market, these markets are going to go as high as they need to go. With that being said, we've always identified from March the best, bang for your buck wasn't going to be crypto or gold or silver or shorting dollar, frankly. Not too sure how long dollar continues weakening at that level, okay? It was always going to be the Nasdaq. Now, the Nasdaq is the cleanest count out of every index that I'm seeing, and it's clearly leading the SPX by over 2 months. Nasdaq made a new high June 2020, while the ES was somewhere here. Now, the count which we have on the Nasdaq, the quote-unquote safest count, okay, market's actually open right now. Let's have a look at the time. Yeah, market's been open about 20 minutes. The safest count that we have is that it's a 1 2 1 2 3 running flat 4 into a 3 into a 4, and we've been working this count in the group. Once again, to join the group, basically you need to go onto the Facebook page and send me a message, and I send you the PayPal link. That's the only way to really join the group. We cover everything, these major big markets, twice a week. Obviously, between now and the end of the year, frankly, there's going to be a lot of volatility. So if you want my take twice a week, not too sure how often I'll get to do YouTube videos, that's on the Facebook page. And as for the course, well, we've gone over the course. Anyway, the Nasdaq is now trending well in this final wave 5. I think here short term, with a full moon being tomorrow, there may very well be some kind of correction here short term. Maybe even it's occurring at time of doing video. I'm still running the Nasdaq as this smaller degree level wave 4. So all of this is a primary level wave 5. So that would obviously be the intermediate. So I suppose this would be minor, which I have it on. So I'm still not convinced Nasdaq has topped. My lower degree fib target has literally been hit at time of doing video. It's pretty much got there. Once again, these targets have been here since 6 months ago. Since literally here. And this is the advantage of taking the course. If you want to fish for yourself, it's all there. Anyway, let's just get out of that replay function. So I'm running that as a wave 3. I think there's going to be a wave 4 here, some profit taking, especially after the stock split of Tesla, Apple. Then I still think there's one more push up here past Labor Day into this possibly second stimulus check, which, as we identified, the first check initiated the move and the second check is going to, end the move, so to speak. I mean, you literally cannot make this up. If you explain this to someone, they would think you're having a laugh. How easy this game is to actually figure out once you know what's really going on. Anyway, there is a lot of, how we would say, activity. Let's just leave it at that. Quite heavy activity, which is suggestive of the Nasdaq, which may or may not do something in terms of a correction. either side of the US election. That's October, November, and December. We've been tracking that activity since June. Now, just because activity comes in doesn't necessarily mean you go all in short, okay? There's a whole module on unusual options activity. There's 1 hour module on there. If you're following options flow, you need to know that about the content within that module, how to actually identify real option flow, good flow from bad flow. There's various strategies just within that. And that's just one of the 48 laws of power, 48 modules. But still, that activity is it's incredible how it's all around October, November, and December, right at a time where we're approaching Labor Day now, and we've got this final wave up alongside this check. So I'm still maintaining these 2 stock markets, American stock markets, are bullish, and this is going to go and start with a 13. Other than this wave 4, we're still looking at this to go higher towards 13.6, and that would be my count on the Nasdaq. Now the Qs have been very profitable since the lows. We've pretty much called the entire move, and we are still working the fact that the Qs have also got one more push up. Like I said, here short term, I'm working this as a wave 3. This wave 3 technically could get extended to 306. If the Nasdaq goes to 13.6, I feel Qs are going to go to 333 basically. These are long term targets that I've got here on the Qs. By long term, I mean pretty much since the 2009 lows, and that's what's a little bit concerning about the Nasdaq, given the fact that a lot of these counts are basically getting hit, and these counts are not short-term counts, these are long-term counts from 2009. So certainly a bit more cautious with the Nasdaq. Now, SPY, which we have here, basically the long and short of it, we are looking at the SPY to go to 400. And if that extends, we're looking at the SPY to go to 440. Once again, take the course and you'll figure out how we figure out these targets well ahead of everyone else. These out of the money call options have gone up well over 2,500% on the Qs, well over 1,000% on the SPY. It's not always about using leverage, but even if you went long SPXL or anything linked to the SPY, you would have done really well. TQs, TECL, we've been calling all of those moves. They've moved up 500% from the lows. So the count as I have it on the SPY is basically that was a flat 2, that was a zigzag 2. So I can show you this on the ES. So the concept and knowledge of when these highs and lows form, i.e. sessions, is another big part of the module. Like I said, this masterclass, I'm sharing stuff which really I shouldn't share, frankly, because it's just worth millions. But it's really advanced techniques. If you've been following me for 2.5 years, you already know the basics. What the indicators are, the Elliott wave, the Fibonacci. But to take that game to the next level and be consistently profitable, finding high probability, low risk, high reward setups, everything is detailed in the masterclass, and we cover sessions here in this auction market theory. There's nearly 2.5, 3 hours worth there just on auction market theory. Very important that you know about the different day types, can save you a lot of headache. Anyway, this has never been a short going back 7 months, because that high was made in the overnight session. This is going to top in New York. So target would be 4,000 and then 4,400. But let's work off 4,000 to be safe, given what the Nasdaq's doing, given that the Nasdaq is a little bit closer. So what is the count? The count as I've been working from the lows is that's the 1, 2. Okay? The likelihood of an event occurring is inverse to the number of assumptions that you make. I have to assume shorts are still trapped, and they are. We look through 10 different positioning and sentiment indicators every week in the group. Once again, sentiment and positioning is all here. 1 hour 10 module on there. There's over 20 different indicators that you need to look at. Now, before Bitcoin 20,000, none of us really cared about sentiment indicators, because the market was going in a vertical line. When that VIX, inverse VIX, blew up, it clearly showed to me, literally from the first, day 1, Bitcoin 20K, day 2, 2K. I mean, you can't even make this up if you tried. That the volatility now is so high that you need to be reliant on these other tools that we discuss here. Anyway, there are still shorts trapped in this market, and I wouldn't be calling a top here. There's also something on the options chain which I detail in the masterclass, some of the signs of a market top, which we also discuss in the group. That phenomenon is not occurring on the SPY. It's occurring on the Qs to a certain extent, which is why with the Qs we're a little bit more cautious. We're not bearish, okay? We're not bearish, we're just a little bit more cautious. So let's pull that to what it is. So I would say that's the intermediate count. Then this is now another 1-2. Right? So accurate wave counting is clearly a big part of long-term analysis, which obviously needs to be a skill learned. Okay? This bull market has been going on since 2009. Okay? We've already called for some kind of super cycle correction that may occur pretty soon here. So wouldn't you need some kind of playbook to basically hedge against that? And that's why we've got the masterclass. So I would say this is the count. It's a 1-2 going into another 1-2. So there is nothing to do here until the ES hits 4K as regards to calling a market top number 1 or number 2 shorting. ES has never been a short. It's never been a short, and it still isn't a short. Like I said, if I bring back the Qs here, Qs were a little bit more cautious given the heavy activity October, November and December, but still we're looking at this Qs to go higher. Now, obviously, the poster child of this market has been Tesla. I've been quite surprised by the move, but it's a melt up, so you're bound to get some surprises, okay? Yahoo Finance, well, not Yahoo Finance, but Yahoo did the same thing back in 2001, back in 2000. This is quite an extreme count here, and it's been difficult because there are various interpretations. Okay, I would rather be safe here and call that it's probably in the 5-2. Obviously, it's now stock split, so that kind of changes things. The target, the advanced target, which I gave to the group about 2 weeks ago, was 2400. The minute it started to reverse here, there were a lot of volume signatures. Once again, all of this volume business we cover here, right? Volume is the fuel behind price. Price is the car, Elliott wave is the route that you take, and Fibonacci is your destination. But if you don't know volume, then you're not going to get anywhere basically. That's everything to do with volume, not just the patterns, but the volume profile too. So still, we would look at this to go higher. There's a chance it could go to 520, 550. Now, Apple is obviously one which we called in the group. The split adjusted target, the most advanced extreme target that I had here was 641, right? I had 544 and 641, and 544 divided by 4 was 136. We're pretty much there. So there will be Fibonacci resistance here, 136. This could just top at 136. If not, it'll go to the next target, which is basically split adjusted. Let me work it out. It was 641. I believe it was 160. 160. So there's still room for Apple and Microsoft and the tech stocks and the Nasdaq to go higher. Obviously ES is still, it was a little bit lagging, and so that is the count. It's just in an extended wave 5 off an extended wave 5. So I suspect some resistance at 136, 160. Like I said, short term here on the Qs, which I can see on my other screen, it's bouncing around 297 and just stalling there going into a 4. I still think Qs comfortably break 300, and I think Nasdaq goes to 13,000, and there's going to be fireworks here. There's going to be fireworks. There won't be fireworks on the SPY, but there'll definitely be fireworks on the Nasdaq, because the FOMO's building now. The FOMO's building. Now, the second tier stocks, like Square, they've pretty much all got to our target, so we've called a lot of this move. Like I said, it's a complete melt up here, so everything's just going in a vertical line, but there's nothing to suggest any of these are imminent tops. I mean, Wayfair's had quite a nice run. That's pretty much done, you would think. So let's go through the SQs. So the SQs, let me pull it up on the other screen. SQs, we were basically looking at a move towards, what's my target? 17, and we're pretty much getting there. So people are now going to start hedging for their downside risk around 17. This is just doing the inverse of the Qs, right? Because it's 3 times inverse. 3, 4, 5. And then on top of that, you've also got PSQ and PID, which can be gained there. Now, dollar weakening is a little bit surprising, I'll be honest. There was bound to be a day where some of these markets did not make sense to me. I mean, Nasdaq makes the most amount of sense with the fiscal, with the central bank, with the blow off top, with the wave 5. It was all about the Nasdaq, and everyone who clocked onto that early on, those in the group, they've done very, very well, and they have profited well from that. These markets are so volatile. If you don't jump onto the move quick, you're never going to make any money here. Now, the dollar is weakening. I'm a little bit surprised, I'll be honest. Clearly, it doesn't look so good, but you know, you don't want to be getting bearish dollar at these levels, okay? You buy low and you sell high. This is just a fundamental principle of all trading, of all investing. When things go up, you want to be selling into strength, assuming that the trend hasn't changed. And when things go down, especially something like the dollar, which is a safe haven currency, okay? This is not like the Nasdaq is at 5,000. Nasdaq, even in real time, is at 12.2. What's my highest target for the Nasdaq? Okay, so with the dollar, basically we are working the fact that we are in a fractal of 1999 October, and we are looking at this dollar to now reverse and go higher. I don't want to get bearish dollar at these levels. So, and yes, a weakening dollar would prop up gold, silver and Bitcoin. Now let's just have a quick look at Bitcoin, because I know a lot of people who follow me like to get my take. Like I said, if you want more of a twice a week update and you're not interested in the greatest masterclass in human history and you don't really want to fish for yourself, then you can join the group. That's okay too. You know, this is not like you have to do one or the other. Now, I mean, ultimately, you know, this is corrective, right? I don't think this is a move towards 20,000. I think 16,000 is clearly the one-to-one relationship with this, and that's fine. And obviously you got a double top here at 14,000. Now, we know Bitcoin does very well when the dollar goes down, and Bitcoin doesn't do so well when the dollar goes up. A big part of the whole 20k to 2k thesis, obviously I also knew dollar was ready for a turn. Those who recall my very first video was actually dollar to rise from 88 and eventually dump, and Dow to go to 40k. That was actually my first video that I ever did, and Bitcoin went down dramatically during that time. So I'm working a cautious, neutral stance on Bitcoin at these levels. Given what the dollar is doing, I'm working this as an ABC. So if one is working this as an ABC, it would stand to reason that Bitcoin is actually still in the midst of a larger correction. Obviously, we're not expecting Bitcoin to fall to 2k right here, right now. It's going to be accompanied with a major correction in the indices, but we know that's coming anyway, right? We can't be surprised by that. It's not like Nasdaq's at 5k, is it? Nasdaq's now at 12k. So it's a little bit more cautious now going into the end of the year with the event risk that we have, right? So I'm not for 1 second calling for 2k Bitcoin. Bitcoin is doing very well, as is gold, as is silver, due to the fact there's nowhere else to put your money. You're not going to keep it in cash, and the weakening dollar is doing it, is basically propping up these markets. But ultimately, Nasdaq was the play. So I would still say this is corrective. You can always convert it to a line chart, and it may very well be a double zigzag into it. So if we're saying this is still in the midst of some consolidation, you might be lucky you get one more push up towards 14,000. Certainly at time of doing video, we are still in the midst of a melt up. Like I said, Nasdaq has been a big driver here. This move since March has all been a Nasdaq move, which is why I identified that very early on for the group, and they've all done really well from that. In the midst of a melt up, it can be very, very normal for all assets to go up, and that's what's going on. So if you're in Bitcoin, in silver, in gold, I would be watching the dollar if it was me, and be careful with that dollar. Okay, that's Bitcoin. Now let's wrap up this video. So we called 4k Amazon. I mean, we're pretty much going there. Yeah, I mean, there's not much really to say. This has hit my fib target. Those, I mean, once again, you can have a look through the old videos. They're all there. I believe it's 260 for a 2T here. For some reason, going back 3 months ago, I've always felt the reason to believe that they will pump Amazon, Apple and Microsoft to 2T, because it just makes the most amount of sense. And frankly, it could still happen. It's not that big a deal for Microsoft. Amazon's pretty much going to get to 4K. So that wraps it up. Like I said, if you want to join the group, you know what to do. If you want the masterclass, it's all here. I'm not just going to give it away. It's a high ticket item, but you need to consider it a long-term investment. Everything's there. I'll leave it to you guys, and I'll see you guys whenever I do the next video. Take care.